I would talk about pornography. Pornography use. It wasn't. I'm someone who used to use pornography and have since moved beyond using it, but it's something that was a rather negative experience, created a lot more unconsciousness and pain in my life, and kind of made it, kind of created a little bit more of predator behavior that for me was mostly just witnessed within me rather than acting from that place. But I thought it would be helpful to maybe talk about my experience with pornography. And I started using pornography around when I was 13 years old. And it was something as a 13-year-old that I understood probably wasn't the best thing for me. There was a part of me that was like, well, I'll just look at photos, but I really probably should not watch videos. And something you learn about any patterns or habits that you have in your life is often taking little steps towards it. All of a sudden, you can find yourself lost in the pattern and be a little unaware of how you got there. And for me, what I've really noticed from my pornography use is that my upbringing, while it was beautiful and my parents both have amazing and awesome qualities that I really admire, and they have some qualities that maybe I admire a little bit less, but they're overall good people. But the toxicity that was in the relationship, the toxicity that both of them were still working through at that time, made toxicity a little bit more familiar to me than foreign. And whatever is familiar to us is what we're attracted to. And I know I'm pretty positive that my father used pornography, and also right around when I was 13 and coming of age, my parents got a divorce. And while it was best for them both in the moment, they kind of pushed it down. We didn't really talk about it as a family. We didn't really talk about how are you doing through the divorce? What are you feeling about the divorce? That was all kind of ignored. And we, as a family, all kind of found our own ways to not feel. And for me, that really was pornography, and also seeing that my dad, to some degree, while I didn't actually see him use it, but your mirror neurons will match the patterns of those around you. And you still have choice, and you still have the empowerment of what you choose, but to feel, to some degree, my body feeling my dad cope with the divorce that way, I think it made it a little bit more normal or more familiar to me to also cope with the divorce that way. And when you're using pornography, all you realize when you start to wake up from pornography use, is you just realize that it makes sex, it makes you think that any person you're attracted to is someone you should have sex with, that sex is like God, and that you should chase and try and get as many people to have sex with you as possible. And it just creates a lot more unconsciousness within you, a lot more patterns of trying to feed your inner sex demons. And it definitely, for me, when I felt that way, it just made me feel a little unsafe in my own presence, and then feel less safe connecting with others. And so for me, it kind of just created more of an isolating pattern where I spent a lot of time alone, feeling these like predator like patterning within me, or just feeling such like really strong desires of wanting to have sex with every person I saw. And I think like in adolescence, hormones are definitely spiking a little, and maybe that's a little normal, but it felt like it was coming from a place of not being very mindful of this. Is this actually a person who would be someone first that would be good for me to connect with in that way, who I'd want to be more like. It was completely just trying to just have sex with any person that I saw that I thought that was attractive. And usually the underlying belief is that if that person has sex with me, then I feel more value, almost like the hunters that could like search for trophy bucks or trophy animals to kill. It's kind of the same pattern of I have as much value for how many people that are beautiful that I can devour, that I that I can sink my teeth into. And even when I was like 12 or 13 years old, I had this experience when I first started using pornography of like I would go to use it and I would see like the energy outline of like an angel come to my eye touch and like turn off my eye touch, and my eye touch would just stop working. And it was my angel saying, hey, maybe it would be good if you made a different choice. But during that time, I was really unsure if pornography was, while there's an inkling of it probably isn't the good for me, no one talked about it. No one said, hey, this, if you go through this, it's going to create, if you use this, it's going to create a lot more mental fantasies. It's going to make you think that sex is the best way and the only way to form deep connection. It's going to make you utterly obsessed with sex, and it's going to be a rather hard pattern to wake up from. And so no one really ever had that conversation with me as a 13-year-old. And so the not knowing, and then all the intensity around all the feelings I was feeling about about my parents going through a divorce and wanting something to help numb those feelings made pornography a rather accessible, rather seemed like in my head a rather good option to choose. And I'd say, and when you're thinking about pornography use, I'd say the real gift in it is after being free from it. Some people think that pornography use will lead to greater sexual freedom, or that it will make them better. I know for me, when I was 13, I thought it would make me better at sex. But when you look at people who have who are acting in pornography, they're not listening to each other's bodies. They aren't checking into making sure that this is a good experience for the other person. Maybe they're doing it in scenes and then cutting those parts. But it's kind of like an ultra masculine industry of just pounding people's pelvises together as fast as possible most of the time. Most of the porn you see out there. And it isn't actually what makes good sex. It isn't actually what helps people actually connect in deep, vulnerable ways where they're both attuned to each other's bodies, where both partners are feeling equally nourished and supported. And it's kind of like a masculine driven, just quick pleasure type of videos most of the time. And what I found is, as I woke up from pornography, as I started to find my way out of it, the real gift was on the back end. Just like an alcoholic, when they stop using alcohol, they usually have stronger boundaries around substances than someone who never used substances at all, when they've like fully healed from that pattern, from that substance. And I would say for the people who, instead of alcohol, sex was their alcohol, their pattern of choice to numb themselves, then when you heal from it, you have stronger boundaries. You're more mindful of who you share physical intimacy with than people who never use pornography in the first place. So there is a gift from it, and there's no shame for using pornography. We all have to work through our own patterns. We all are like born as blank canvases, and we pick up the patterns that most of the time our parents were working through. And maybe sometimes, maybe in past or simultaneous lives, we had a certain weakness towards substances or towards pornography or towards sex. And so then we if we wait, as we grow up, maybe we take on that addiction, and as we heal the addiction, it helps us form a stronger boundary with that, with those patterns, with that addiction, and helps us have healthy, strong boundaries in all areas of our life and be free from allowing desires to influence us. And one of the things that I've found in my life is the stronger boundaries I have, the more I'm able to connect with people and show curiosity, interest people without any like attachment to whether it's going to lead to a relationship or physical intimacy, is the moment is when pornography more and more started to be burned out of me, because pornography is a pattern of having loose boundaries. Pornography is a pattern of trying to have sex with as many people as possible. And it's a pattern. It's not what your soul would actually want. It's not what's actually going to nourish your heart. It's not going to actually what form the deepest relationships with you. And I would say one of the best ways to mess up a friendship is to have sex with that person, because while in the moment it's awesome, when you actually meet someone you'd want to date, or when you actually find, or when you actually when you actually start to get to know someone who you think is going to be your partner, usually the people you had sex with are the first people to get cut out of your life, because it's kind of weird. And maybe not all the time, but it's kind of weird to be in relationship with someone and still be hanging out with someone you had sex with. And so the stronger boundaries we can have of I share sex, I share physical intimacy with the people who are the most committed and devoted to me, is actually what's going to, one, create the greatest empowerment and freedom from any desires or cravings that you have. One, also help people feel more safe in your presence. Like they aren't a penguin spending time with a leopard seal. And it also is just going to help you have more long-term relationships, because even like I'm someone who's very into dance, and even in like the dances that are the most sensual or sexual or like arousing are usually the dances that last the least amount of time, are the shortest lived dances. And so if you take that same thing to your relationships, that the relationships that are the most passionate and adrenaline filled and move towards physical intimacy the quickest are usually the relationships that are going to be the shortest in your life. And the relationships that you have that are more about supporting, caring, showing interest and curiosity in each other without any need for them to meet physical desires or for you to sink your teeth into them, are usually the relationships that are the most beautiful, the most long-lasting, the most nourishing to our heart, and help us fill ourselves up with greater self-worth and value, rather than empty, bottomless, surface-level sexual relationships. And so pornography, while pornography is not great for you, if you're still finding your way out of it, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. And as you heal from it, it will bring gifts into your life. It will help you have healthier boundaries, be more empowered around physical intimacy, desires, and cravings than if you had never used pornography. Because you've already taken the time to fully explore what it's like to not have good boundaries. And so then as you form a relationship with good boundaries, it like creates a greater reminder within people that have woken up from pornography and healed from it, of what they stand for, of what's actually going to be the most nourishing and supportive thing for their body, for their heart, for their relationships. And so it's okay whatever patterns we're still finding our way out of. We never did anything wrong by finding our way into the pattern, but as we find our way out of the pattern, and as we start to live our life from integrity, which is I'm mindful of what would be supportive for my body and heart, and I'm mindful of what would be supportive to other people's bodies and hearts. And a good thing to ask yourself when you're considering physical intimacy with another person is just, is this someone I want to be more like? And would I want to take on their patterns, how they relate to life, and how they think about the world? Because the moment you have sex with someone, it's a big swap of energy, and you become more like those people. And so can we say, if I'm thinking about physical intimacy with someone, is this just my mind showing me that I'm in a deeper relation? I desire a deeper connection with them, because usually our mind just associates sex with forming a deeper connection. But in truth, our deepest connection is just going to be by getting to know people and show the greatest curiosity and interest in people and support people. That actually what allows people to feel the most safe within us. But our mind goes, I think, like, for at least my mind goes, I think sex is the best, and it's something that my mind still does. I think sex is the best way to connect with people. So the people who I actually am interested in getting to know deeper, I think would be a good person for me to have sex with. And when I hear that, I just go, that's a nice thought, mind. And thank you for telling me who I'm interested in getting to know on a deeper level, but it doesn't necessarily mean that having sex with that person is actually what's going to be the most supportive to me. It just means that my level of attraction or my or any fantasies I feel about this person is just showing me, hey, it would be good for, on a soul level, it would be good for you to get to know this person on a deeper level. Not that you should have sex with them necessarily, but that your desires are showing you just desire to get to know this person on a deeper level. And that's all attraction really is if you're attracted to someone, it's your soul, it's the universe saying, if you got to know this person, they would either share qualities or have experiences in their life that would be beneficial for you to learn from, beneficial from you to hear, or they might just be a person that would be resonant in your life and be able to love and be kind towards you. Or it could just be someone who is beautiful or has a beautiful energy or has a nice body. Not every person we're attracted to is going to be someone that's actually right for us. And we all get to be discerning of, when I get to know this person, is this someone I actually want to spend time with long term? But usually attraction really is just telling us of who who we desire to get to know, not people we're meant to have sex with, not people we're meant to date necessarily. And you can think about it as in, how many people have I been attracted to in my life? And for me, I'm attracted to people every day. Every single day I see people that I think are beautiful. And how many of those people do you actually get to know? How many people is there actually even space in your life to date or to form a relationship with? And I'd say it's like 1%. It's very few. Even if you put yourself out there, you're going to see people on the train, you're going to see people in the grocery store, you're like, that's a beautiful person, and then you never see them again. And so just because you're attracted to someone doesn't mean you're meant to date them. It doesn't mean you're meant to have sex with them. It's just what attraction really is, and sure, there is physical attraction too, that's part of it, but on the deeper level, attraction is seeing the light, seeing the beauty of someone's soul in another person. And if the universe creates an opportunity for you to get to know that person on a deeper level, get to know them, show interest, be curious in them. Why am I attracted to this person? And some of the people you're attracted to won't even be good for you in your life. They won't be supportive, they won't be kind, and that's okay. And that's what life is. Life is about exploring. Everyone's at different levels of consciousness out there. And not every person we're attracted to is going to be someone who's going to be able to meet us fully how we want to be met. But there are people, but attraction is a good pointer of the universe going, hey, it would be beneficial for you to get to know this person most of the time. And so as we wake up from pornography as we start to move beyond our chasing and desires for and cravings for sex, we start to find real freedom and empowerment of having strong boundaries, of being discerning of who I share like my deepest, most intimate experiences with, and reclaiming our power from sex of sex is great, but it's meant to be shared with people who are the most committed and devoted to us. And if it's not someone who feels very committed or devoted to us, or is someone who's very casual with sex, it's probably not a good person to share that level of intimacy with. Because our sex, I really believe sex is sacred. It's something that's meant to be shared with people who are fully aligned with you, fully committed to you, who meet you on the deepest level. And if it feels like someone who's not capable of meeting you on a deep level, then they're probably just a friend. And even if you feel really connected with them, but you still feel like there's some parts of them that you don't really like, probably a good person just to be friends with. And we all have our own choice in who we choose to share physical intimacy with and who we don't. And we're all going to explore that by making different choices and exploring it with different people. But the stronger we can be in our boundaries, the more clear we will be on who, when we're thinking about dating people, the more clear we'll be on who is right for us, who is wrong for us. And that clarity comes from having strong boundaries. And if we have loose boundaries, it just creates a lot of energy of settling and compromising for people who can't actually meet us how we'd want to be met, and sharing intimacy and vulnerability with people who we don't actually want to be more like, or sharing energy with people whose energy isn't that great. So I hope that helps. And that was a little bit more of a vulnerable one. I was a little nervous to do it, but thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.